Hello everybody and welcome back to another new vlog. Thank you for joining me once again. Have you ever looked at a map of somewhere where you've been once before and then thought there's something else there that I could have explored? I think I've missed something there. Well, that's exactly what's happened to me today. I've looked at a map of a place that I was at for my last vlog to see if there was any other way of getting around to it, and I've come across this little bit of woodland that I wasn't too sure whether or not I could get to. There's another little bit of woodland that I want to get to as well, and having found myself in this particular woodland, I don't know now whether I can get to the other bit that I want to get to. So first of all, I'm going to see if I can find a composition here and set that up and take that shot. And then I'm going to see if I can possibly make my way to another bit of woodland that I've never been to before. But it does possibly mean crossing some of the golf course while I'm here. So I'm not totally certain whether it's possible, but it's got to be worth a try, hasn't it? Bear with me a minute. So I'm just going to try and show you the composition that I've got here, if I possibly can. I'm not sure how well it works, but I rather like it. I've shot with a portrait orientation because this is one of those situations where I want the image to be taller than it is wide. Now I'm looking at this area in front of the camera just here, where there's a little bit of woodland floor that's kind of exposed to the light, which I quite like. And then just ahead of that you've got this tree here. Looks like it's possibly a birch tree of some kind, very thin one, kind of standing all on its own in the middle of that light there. And just as the light is falling on the tree, I'm getting quite an interesting shot of that tree itself. So like I say, that's portrait orientation. It's an f11, so I've got quite a bit of it in focus because I want some of that foreground to be in focus as well, so you can see what I'm leading you to. But also it's going to be an exposure bracketed image because there's quite a lot of dynamic range coming through the trees with the sunlight. The sun is very low on the horizon, so it's creating very, very high dynamic range, and to overcome that I've had to exposure bracket these images. But I hope you like it. I think there may even be one more shot in this little bit of woodland and then I'm going to move on. I've managed to get to this little bit of woodland by walking around a path within the golf course itself, but off the back of one of the greens and slightly away from where the golfers are playing. And then that path runs down the side of one of the fairways. The reason that's important is because there's nothing at all to stop the general public just walking down those paths at all. It's a public park and the golf course itself is not out of bounds to people. But the main thing is obviously that I don't want to get on the greens and on the fairways while there are golfers playing golf. But I've managed to get in here by using a path. In the meantime, I've got another little bit of woodland that I'd like to go to and visit that. That also means somehow getting back across the golf course at some point. And I don't know whether I'll be able to do that. If I can't, it doesn't really matter too much. I can always turn around and walk back and go around the golf course. But I didn't really want to do that if I didn't have to. But hopefully I can just about get to the next bit of woodland that I want to get to. Breaking news, folks, I didn't manage to avoid the golf course at all. I had to cut right across one of the tees, unfortunately, and there were 3 guys on the tee actually playing golf. They seemed alright about it. They weren't nasty or rude or anything. They just were waiting for me to get out of the way, really. But I wasn't there too long, so hopefully it'll be okay. But I have managed to find the woodland that I was looking for, the second woodland that I was looking for, and here it is, stretching out all around me. I've already noticed in the few seconds that I've been in here that there are 2 or 3 very interesting compositions at either end of the woodland, so I'm going to go and see if I can capture a couple of those, and then I'll get back to you, because I've got another idea that I want to do as well while I'm here, and I'm not far away from where I can be to do that. But I'll talk to you about that in a little while. Check out that tree behind me. There's a perfect composition of it here, but also as I'm walking around to try and find the perfect composition for this tree, I noticed that somebody's left some flowers at the bottom of the tree, just on the other side, and I was thinking at first that it might have been a bit of rubbish, a bit of litter that somebody left behind, and as I got a little bit closer I realised what it was. Now, I don't want to move those flowers at all, I want to leave them exactly where they are, but they're not going to be in my shot anyway, because they're behind the trunk of the tree, so you won't be able to see that from where I'm going to take this shot. But I just quite like this tree here, and the green leaves and the blue sky in the middle, and then the green of the trees behind as well. So it's quite an interesting one. You've got a few trees which might even be silhouetted in the background as well. So I'm going to set this one up and take this, and then I'll go and see if I can find another one at the other end of this woodland. So as I walked to the other end of this woodland, I was quite pleased to discover there was a very gnarly tree that was all kind of bent over in one direction and twisted, and it was quite an interesting one. It was difficult though to find the perfect composition for that, because there were quite a few other very different trees dotted around quite near to it, but I think I've managed to get a decent shot. So I hope you like those two images in this woodland. I've now got another idea, because I know that quite near to here there's a path that I walked along a couple of months or so ago, and whilst I was walking along there I noticed there was a brook that kind of goes under a bridge across the path. So I want to head back down there and see if I can get a shot of that. I don't know if it's going to be any good and where I'm going to need to stand to be able to get that shot, but I wanted to go and have a look at it anyway, and I'm near enough now that I can go and do that. So I'm going to head down there and see what I can do. That last shot was a bit of a dud actually. I got to the bridge with the brook running underneath it. I mean, it looked lovely, don't get me wrong, it was perfect composition just there. One of the big problems, well, two of the big problems were, first of all, there was a shit ton of graffiti all over the wall on the bridge, and I couldn't really find a composition that avoided all of that graffiti. I could have found one composition where the graffiti was in the shot but not so prominent, and the image would have been the brook itself leading to the concrete bridge, but it didn't really work as I wanted. But also, whilst I was stood there trying to figure out what the composition was and trying to get that right, a family came along with two dogs and decided to park themselves on the other side of the bridge where they were going to be in my shot, and then another couple of blokes came along with two great big massive Doberman Pinscher dogs, and they decided they were going to walk across the brook straight towards me and then turn around and park themselves right in front of where I was standing. So there was absolutely no way that I could have got the shot there anyway. Also, the sun at that moment was very, very harsh, very bright, and it was almost impossible to get a decent exposure there because of the way the sun was, and the light was constantly changing as well, so it wasn't very easy all in all. But I know that shot's there, and I know I can come back to it on another day when perhaps it won't be quite as busy. But for now, I'm going to call it a day. I hope you've enjoyed this week's vlog. I've enjoyed finding a couple of little woodlands that I didn't know about, and also possibly upsetting the golfers on the golf course. Like I said earlier, they didn't seem too bothered by it. They were just happy to wait for me to get out of the way. But if you've enjoyed this vlog, then please remember to give the video a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to my channel to see more content like this, and I'll see you again on another vlog very soon. Bye for now.